coming right up.
Thanks, Jeremy. All right, welcome in everybody. My name is Zach Crum. I'm an alumni and student engagement specialist here at the David Eccles School of Business, joined by Chandler and Michelle from our team, and then our great presenter Jeremy Schiefling. We're so excited to welcome him back for the fourth edition of the Eccles Alumni Network Career Lab. Yeah, we're really thankful for all of you for taking the time on your lunch break today to be part of our network wherever you're calling in from. We want to thank you for that. Yeah, I'm gonna turn it back over to Jeremy, and then kind of at the last couple of minutes of the day, I'll share out a link for some feedback, and then let you all know about a couple things that we have going on at the Eccles School this semester. All right, you ready, Jeremy?
Let's do it. Here we go. Okay, so first things first, we got to start by giving some love in the new year to the amazing team that's making this possible. To Zach, to Chandler, everyone on the Eccles side, double Utes, triple Utes, hit those emoji buttons, make it rain emojis for your amazing team. And then number two, want to give you a heads up about who you've got on the line today. I'm going to actually just mute everyone real quick. Hold on one second. There we go. It'll be a little better, but feel free to unmute as we get into the interactive section. And a little bit about your speaker. I've had this super lucky background as someone who's gone from being a kindergarten teacher to working at all these cool tech companies to working inside LinkedIn, all the way to working for Khan Academy and this guy, Sal Khan. And as a result, I want to share everything I've learned about LinkedIn and AI and job searching to help you build careers that you love the same way I've been working with students and alumni around the business school world for the last decade. But I have to warn you, this is not your typical session. For anyone who joined my session last year, you know that those kindergarten teaching habits die hard because this is going to be super interactive. In particular, we're going to have pop quizzes, so get ready to answer those in the chat. Number two, we're going to be doing live demos. And by the way, if you volunteer, I've got a very belated holiday present for you, which is I will give you a free LinkedIn profile makeover to turbocharge your job search here in 2026. So be sure to volunteer when the time is right. And then finally, most importantly, don't just watch, take action. Try these techniques on your screen. Start making progress starting today. Okay, with that said, we're going to be digging into networking today. And specifically, we're going to be digging into the idea of why networking is so important at every stage of your journey. So, first of all, let's start with the end in mind. Let's think about the reason that so many people might be looking for a job in 2026. What do you think is the number one reason that people walk away from a job? Is it A, bad salary? B, the Michael Scott effect, bad boss? Or C, fundamentally bad fit with the role itself? So come to the chat, give me an A, B, or C. What do you think is the leading driver of people walking away? And look at this, Zach and Chandler. It's all Michael Scott as far as the eye can see. Sarah says B, Diane says B, CJ says B, Desiree says B. Everyone's saying B. But here comes Sean Hess saying C. Sean, if you don't mind unmuting for one moment, why do you think the answer is C?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like we all deal with bad bosses and we all have had bad salary. I just think bad fit is a combination of both. So so yeah, and bad fit means lack of meaning. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, you nailed it, Sean. Turns out, yep, bad salary sucks, bad bosses are worse, but bad fit is deadly. Because the reality is, if you fundamentally hate the things you're doing every day, no amount of money, no amount of great boss is going to compensate for that. So, what we got to do is we got to make sure that before we start applying for jobs, before we start building out our path, we know that we're on the right path. And to do that, I want to show you how to find that perfect fit. And all you've got to do if you want to win a free profile makeover is be the first you to raise your hand right inside Zoom. So hit that hand raise button and we'll see who's going to be the first winner of the profile makeover, first person to get this advice. And our first volunteer is Jacob Tetters. So, Jacob, feel free to turn on your mic and let's do this for the benefit of every Ute, past and present. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you.
Hey, how are you today, Jacob?
Doing well. How
All
about you?
right. Not bad. Happy New Year.
Thank you. You too.
And Jacob, tell us a bit about yourself. Student, alum, staffer, where are you in your Ute journey?
Yeah, so I am a second year MBA student, and so I'll
Oh,
be graduating this May. And I'm currently in the search for a full-time position. And I'm eager to learn what I'm going to teach here today.
that's awesome. So, Jacob, I want to ask you this. Have you ever heard in the course of your curriculum at Eccles or elsewhere about a concept called Ikigai, all about finding your perfect path?
I have, yes.
Okay, awesome. So, explain for those who may not have heard of it, what the heck is this concept? What is Ikigai all about?
Yeah, so the way that I understand it is that it's kind of where um, passion and purpose kind of meet need and demand. And
Yeah.
so, you kind of find that perfect blend of this is what I'm passionate about, this is value I can provide, this is what fulfills me the most. And you try to find that overlap of this is what people need, this is the gap that I can fill. And hopefully, as well, there's a third overlap of, it pays well.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. You want all these things in harmony to give you a great life in 2026. So, Jacob, let's start by finding your Ikigai, and then we're going to use the power of networking to kick the tires on that roll. So, first
Okay.
things first, Jacob, if you were going to tell me here in 2026 your top three strengths, in other words, the superpowers that make you you, Jacob, what are those top three strengths that you want to start with?
Ooh. I'd say one that I've really been learning lately is, and I don't know if this is necessarily too superpower, but taking care of other people.
Yeah.
Um, so I've noticed that in well, recently I just had my first child, and so I've
Well,
been getting a
congrats.
lot of practice. Thank you, a lot of practice taking care of someone else. And I've also noticed that in the interactions with people throughout my internship, and I was really, um, I really invested in making sure that like, people were okay. Like I recognized my manager was pretty busy, and sometimes I felt like he was too busy for me, and to be able to help me out. And I just instead of shutting down, I just turned it into asking him like, "Hey, how are you doing? How can I take things off your plate? How can I be of value to you?" So
Wow.
that's the first one that comes to mind.
I love that. Super cool. And by the way, you're getting tons of love in the chat right now, Jacob. So everyone's rooting you on.
Appreciate it.
What else? So obviously, really empathizing with others, understanding their needs. What else makes you you, Jacob?
Um, I think I do really well with kind of the long-term vision of things
Yeah,
and just thinking ahead. Thinking, we can make this decision, but then what are the downstream effects and what are the different considerations that we need to take into account? Um,
love it.
and so I'd say, long-term vision or strategy maybe.
Yeah. And then maybe one last thing, something else. And by the way, if anyone's struggling to think of these on your own, think about the things that may come easily to you that may seem a little harder for others. Those might be natural gifts or skills that you've built over time. Anything like that come to mind, Jacob?
Um, let's see here. I I think, along with the like you framed as empathy, right?
Yeah.
The empathy and then long-term vision. I think something that I I don't know if it's a gift or anything, but I really enjoy kind of a mental challenge. Um,
Yeah.
I enjoy kind of expanding my mind. I think a lot of the past few roles I've had, I would say I was qualified to try, but maybe not qualified to, to do it. Um, and I really enjoy that process of being, knowing next to nothing about a topic, and then maybe 6 months later, right, being a lot more competent in it, and just seeing that growth that I experience. And so I really enjoy those types of mental challenges and those growth experiences.
I love that. Some people look at a mountain and they say, "Oh, why would I climb that?" You look at it and you're like, "Why not? I'm going to go for
Yeah,
it, even if it's tough." Okay, so I love
absolutely.
all those things you're bringing to bear. Let's switch to that next module. When you get into the area of passion, the things that light you up, are there a couple of things that come to mind as far as this is what gets me out of bed in the morning? This is what keeps me rolling even when times are tough.
Hmm. Um, I would say um, maybe from a motivation perspective, right? I'd definitely say my family. Um,
Yeah,
and I've had plenty of jobs I didn't love, but I thought, you know what, someone's gotta pay the bills, right? Someone's gotta
sure.
gotta contribute. So that's one. I'd say another one maybe just generally is I love learning about different cultures and
Mm,
languages.
yeah,
And I specifically love how, their, cultural practices and beliefs kind of influence how people interact and perceive the world.
yeah.
Um, and I've had opportunities in my career to work with international teams and just seeing how, their interactions with me are different just based off of their cultures and customs. I think something's really fascinating. And so I just love learning those things about people.
I love that. And so watch this. You might say to yourself, all this is great. I look in the mirror, I know who I am, but what about the world? Like, how the heck do I know what the world needs from me, especially in 2026 when the world is changing so much? And the best thing you can do is not try to figure it out all inside the sort of constraints of your cranium, but to tap into that hive mind and say, what are 10 specific job titles that match my skills and interests? Again, what's that Ikigai sweet spot? And what you guys are going to notice is for every prompt or every tool that I use today, I'm putting in the chat, not just to have a record, but for you to use it right now. So go ahead, grab that prompt right from the chat. Try this out with your own skills and interests. Okay, Jacob, let's start with this. Obviously, as an MBA 2 at Eccles, there's almost anything that you could take on next, but there are some that might be a better fit for who you are at those Ikigai levels. So, Jacob, you can see that product management, strategy, CSR, program management, all of these are great roles. But I'm going to go one level higher on Maslow's hierarchy. I'm going to challenge you, Jacob, and say, imagine yourself in 2036, 10 years down the road. You are living your best life. You are doing what you want in the world. What are some key values for you, Jacob? Is it, I want to spend time with my family. I want to earn a really good living. I want to travel. I want to drive social impact. Like, what's key to giving you that full life that you want, even in the future, Jacob?
So I think you ticked a lot of boxes there,
Okay.
right? Love to spend time with family. I think work-life balance is something that's important to me.
Yeah.
But also being realistic with, the responsibilities I have and being able to find a way to integrate, different responsibilities I have at work in my community and just trying to find those sweet niches, right, for those different facets of my life. I'd also love to be able to travel and just kind of have the resources that I need for me and my family to
Yeah.
pursue things that are
Yeah.
important to us. And then maybe more broadly, one of the reasons why I wanted to study management is um, I've had I've been frankly blessed enough to have great managers in my life that
Yeah.
you spend more than around maybe 40 hours a week with them, and I think the way they treat you can make a difference. And so I'd love to be that type of manager as well, who people don't
Yeah.
hate, and they it's someone that at work who's kind of an advocate for them and helps make their life inside and outside of work a little easier.
Oh, I love that. Kind of like servant leader who's out there not just to enrich himself, but to make everyone around him better. That is awesome. Okay, and as you can see, I want to be really clear about this. I know as MBAs and business grads and students, we tend to put certain jobs on pedestals. The reality is there's no one job that's right for everyone, but there are different jobs that are better for some of us than others. And so, Jacob, as you look at this list on my screen, is there one or two job titles that kind of intrigue you? Where you're like, I wonder if I could almost experience that job ahead of time. If I could imagine myself doing it, which one of these roles would you like to get some exposure to, Jacob?
Yeah, so it's funny because I'm trying to pivot into product management, and I've had
Yeah.
some experiences with that, and so that's something. As I've worked with my career coach, right? So my career hypothesis, and it's come to a few times. My internship was in strategy, and so it feels like it aligns pretty well. Um, Things like people analytics, learning and development manager, um, those are probably you know uh, sections of a business that I've never considered before because I usually
Yeah.
um, have thought like, oh, I'll be part of the organization that drives value for the firm, right? Who works
Sure,
on
sure.
enlarging the bottom line, whereas that focuses on the people, right? And
Yeah.
how can you enable them? So those are things that have come up before as I've done different career hypotheses work, but have never really considered seriously.
Yeah. Well, let's check it out because I know you mentioned the idea of being sort of this beloved leader who's helping others be great. What if we explored, say, learning and development? Just kick the tires. And this is where networking really comes in. Because Jacob, if you want to learn what it actually feels like to do L&D, who should you be talking to out there in the world besides just ChatGPT?
Someone in L&D probably.
Exactly. And here is the beauty of Utah. Here's the beauty of Eccles in particular. You have access to tens of thousands of alumni doing every one of these cool jobs. So if you come over here and say, hey, show me someone in learning and development, and I run this search, what you will discover is you've got over 100 Utes who would be amazing people to learn from. So let's go over here to Nick Kennedy. Sure enough, he's a proud Eccles grad. He's working at PayPal and learning and development. If you want to get in touch with Nick so you can start to understand what his job is like, how do you want to get in touch with him, Jacob? Do you want to connect? Do you want to message? What's your best bet?
Ooh, um, I know that LinkedIn is a little stingy about the messages you can send without being
That's
connected, so I
right.
think it might depend. But in general, I think probably want to send a note, right? And maybe just in that first line, make it apparent like, hey, I'm a student, right? And
Yeah.
make that alumni connection, and then afterwards, to ask for maybe some time, like 15 minutes, right? Just chat.
Yeah. So I love that we're busting some myths already here. You don't need LinkedIn Premium. You don't need to pay for a message. You can always connect and add a note. There's only one little problem, Jacob. If you imagine that Nick is this super busy Silicon Valley guy working on all this crazy stuff, how often do you think he's checking his LinkedIn inbox?
Ooh, if he's not a founder of his own company, probably not that often.
Yeah, so here's the reality. The average LinkedIn user during my tenure there checked their inbox something like once a year, not once a day, which is not fast enough if you need answers today because you're
Right.
graduating in a few months. So, bottom line, we got to find a better way to get in touch. Now, of course, you can try to figure out his email address. What is the email format for employees at PayPal? And AI can be really good at helping you figure this out. Maybe it's first name dot last name or something like that. That being said, even his email inbox is not going to be a great place if he doesn't recognize you. If he's like, who the heck
Right.
is Jacob? So, how can you prove to this guy, Nick, that you are not a stranger? You are a member of the same tribe. What do you want to focus on?
Oh, um, I'm not sure this is what you're looking for, but I could maybe send it from my school email, right? So it has at utah.edu.
Love that.
Maybe in the subject line, make that connection, say, Eccles MBA student or something like that.
Right.
But those are just first things come to mind.
Yeah, I love all that. One of the things that I think is even more powerful is what Diane said, and big props to Diane. It's those mutual connections. The fact that we've got people right here who bind us together. So imagine this, Jacob. Imagine that you want to get in touch with this guy, Owen, over at AMD. Instead of reaching out cold, you get that warm intro. Steven goes to bat for you, or Jayon goes to bat for you. Now, what are your chances of having a chat with this awesome insider?
Yeah, I mean, if Owen's available, right, it'd be a lot higher.
Yeah. Okay. So now Owen agrees to chat. He says, hey, you're not just a fellow Ute. You're not just a fellow Eccles guy. I see that you've been personally vouched for by one of my friends. What's your game plan, Jacob? How can you figure out whether Owen's role is the right fit for your Ikigai? How do you make that assessment?
Hmm. Um, I probably have to maybe just dive into his work experience and learn more
Yeah.
about it and see,
Yeah.
does his
For some reason, Jacob, your audio started to get a little weird there. But I think what you were saying is look at his work experience, understand how he went from Eccles all the way into this work, and then check this out, Jacob. If you want the ultimate test, and this is really good now networking, look at this. You go to more, you go to save to PDF, you download Owen's entire profile, you come back to AI, you upload that file, and you ask the shortest but most important question of all, which is what are 10 questions I should ask this alum to decide if his role matches my skills, interests, and goals? And it turns out that because AI has kept those things in working memory, all the things that make you, you, Jacob, it can come right back and say, aha, if you want to explore L&D, don't just say, oh, is this a good job for you, Owen? Say, hey, is this going to be a great job for me based on the things that matter? Jacob, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I actually um, never thought about downloading PDF and sending it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the deal. I want to give you huge congratulations, Jacob, on the birth of your first child. And then number two, I want to give you huge congratulations on being about to graduate from Eccles, about to start the next chapter of your career. To give you a little bonus, please shoot me a message on LinkedIn because I'm the rare user who always checks his inbox. And I will get to work on your profile makeover starting today.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Congrats again, Jacob.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, you got to give it up for Jacob. Not only did he have his first child, not only is in the home stretch of Eccles, he is making Utah so proud with everything he's doing. Big props to Jacob. Okay, if you want to share the love beyond just emoji form, the single best way to share love is to ask juicy questions. So if you have questions about anything we're covering here, LinkedIn, AI, networking, put those questions in the chat or feel free to unmute or raise your hand inside Zoom and we can chat directly as well. So I'll be looking for your questions throughout. If I don't see any questions at the moment, that's totally fine, but I can certainly take those at any point. So I'll be keeping an eye out for that. Okay, Kristen's got a great question. How can I use these tools for a career pivot or relocation? So, Kristen, the number one thing about this demonstration that I did right now with Jacob is I didn't just come in here and say, hey, ChatGPT, I am a product manager. What job should I do next? Because ChatGPT will just say, hey, go out there and be a product manager. It gets very linear. Versus if you start with these more fundamental things, your skills, your passions, then all of a sudden AI can give you all these ideas that are outside the box. So you're not just sort of repeating yourself over and over again. So the number one way to use these tools, Kristen, is don't get hung up on past job titles. Instead, come back to the things that are really true about who you are beyond title, and then use that to find that next role. Great question, Kristen. Okay, I'll be looking for more questions throughout. For now, let's talk about the next stage. Imagine that you have found your dream job. Maybe in Jacob's case, it's L&D. For Kristen, it might be something else. You're ready to start applying. Which of these three channels makes you 10x more likely to be hired than anything else? Is it A, applying on the company's website, B, applying via LinkedIn, or C, getting referred? I want to see everyone come to the chat from Anna all the way to Zach. A, B, or C, what do you think? And Zach, I am so proud of your youths because Kristen's saying C, Anna's saying C, Sophia's saying C, everyone's saying C. Let's start with Kristen because she was first. Kristen, if you don't mind unmuting for one moment, why did you say C?
Actually, all of the jobs that I've had since my graduation at the U have been by referral, except for the very first one, which was just a random fluke. I've been approached by other folks in my industry and asked to move. And that was based solely on reputation and experience as time went on.
That is awesome, Kristen. I'm so glad you share that because I think for some of the students on the line, when you're at school, you're like, oh, it's all about going to the career fair or applying online or whatever. And that's great. But out there in the real world, for the rest of your career, it comes down not just to what you know, but who you know, as Kristen said. Referrals really are critical. And if you don't believe me, look at the data. 75% of all job seekers basically apply the same way: career sites, job boards, online applications. And yet, they only make up a tiny minority of all hires because the vast plurality of all hires go to that tiny minority of people who put in the legwork, who get referred. And so, to show you how to increase your odds 10x and give you a free profile makeover as well, I want you guys to raise your hand in Zoom as fast as possible because the first hand that goes up is the first person to win the next prize, just like Jacob did a moment ago. So who's going to be our next volunteer? No need to have expertise about referrals. Just be willing to give it a shot. All right, Desiree. Desiree Buck. Feel free to unmute your line if you like. And Desiree, welcome to the session.
Thanks.
How are you today?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for volunteering. All right. So
Yeah,
Desiree, tell us
my pleasure.
this. Where are you in your Utah Eccles journey?
I am an alumni. I graduated 3 years ago and was laid off 10 months ago
Oh
from,
no.
not 10 months ago, 8 months ago from my first job after my graduation. So
I'm
I'm
so
on the
sorry,
I'm on the
Desiree.
job search. It's
Yeah,
okay.
well, just so you know, you are certainly not alone. I think
That's why I
Zach,
volunteered.
yeah, Zach and Chandler and everyone will totally agree. This is easily the toughest job market since the Great Recession, maybe even tougher in some ways. So that being
Yep.
said, we got to punch even harder in 2026, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So Desiree, throw down the gauntlet. What is the name of an organization you might want to work for someday, and maybe even an organization that's super hard to break into?
Oh, the, just one name.
Or a couple, depending on what's top of mind for you.
Okay. I've been looking at bioMérieux.
Okay.
I have also been looking well, I've just recently refocused on biomedical companies. Uh,
Got it.
yeah, and so pivoting into the biomedical industry.
That's
So
awesome.
I've not gotten picky yet on which companies I'm applying for in that industry.
Absolutely. I love that, by the way. Like, I think that you should be pickier about function, you should be pickier about bosses, but in terms of specific companies, being open-minded, see where the opportunity is a way better way to go. That being said, in order to get a referral at a specific company, we do need that specific company in mind. So tell me again the name of the company. I sort of misheard it, I think.
bioMérieux, Biomereux, I believe.
Okay,
It's a
wow. Is
the
it a
French
French?
company that
Okay.
has a branch in Utah.
Oh, beautiful. Super
M
cool. Okay.
Mereux.
Okay. So I'm
And
gonna, yeah.
and I have a contact there that I have been in contact with. And when I let him know that I see a job that is interesting to me, he's been sending me links that give me an inside track.
Okay, that is awesome. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna look this up. And by the way, you are educating me right now, Desiree, because I didn't even know about them. And thank you so much, Marcella, for pushing me in the right direction. So we're gonna look them up. Now, just to make this more interesting, Desiree, imagine that your contact at bioMérieux, who you worked so hard to build a relationship with, has just decided to take a sabbatical to Antarctica for the next 5 years. They are totally off the grid, totally unreachable. Do you still believe in your heart, Desiree, that you can get a referral there?
I probably could.
Okay, good.
Um, yeah, I can do the things that you suggested with finding other alumni. I know he's not the only one. In my conversations, he's also mentioned other people that he works with, and I can say, "Hey, uh, my contact mentioned you in one of our conversations. Can you tell me more about, or can you connect me with?"
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I think so much of this is about mindset. Like when you look at this chart, Desiree, and you see that every single Eccles student, every single Eccles alum said that referrals matter, and yet 93% of people don't get referrals. What explains that gap, Desiree? Why are so many people not doing what they know is critical?
Oh, it's that age-old fear of rejection. But and I'm guilty of this too. I'm part of this. I'm not saying I'm not guilty, but when if you don't even try, you're rejecting yourself.
Exactly.
Don't reject
Like
yourself. Let other people reject you.
it's that classic thing from the middle school dance all those years ago, right? Just ask
Yep.
that person, just show that interest. Even if you have your heart broken, it's so much better than never having asked at all. And so I
Or get
think,
out on the dance floor and dance yourself.
yes, oh, I love that, Desiree. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have that like put it on a poster or something. Okay, here we go. We believe that we can get this referral, even not knowing anyone today. Let's walk the talk. So here we go, y'all. Desiree, did you know that even if your contact is in Antarctica, you still have access to a company directory for bioMérieux that is more detailed than the one sitting on their servers in France. Did you realize that?
Yeah.
And what is that called, Desiree?
It's it's LinkedIn in the people section.
LinkedIn People tab. This is crazy. Every single organization in the world, for profit, startup, nonprofit, government agency, has an entire employee directory accessible to everyone on LinkedIn. Then you say, okay, well, this is too many people to look through. What do you want to filter for, Desiree? How do you want to filter this list to find someone who has something in common with you?
Uh, where they studied is probably good. The
Yeah.
role that they're doing is probably good.
So let me just call this out
Yeah,
real quick. Desiree,
yeah.
obviously we'll put in Eccles, but tell me this. Do you think there are more living Eccles alumni in the world or more Utes, period, from the other schools combined?
Uh, all the other schools.
Of course, right? It's just basic math. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. If you only search for Eccles, you don't get access to those other Utes. So you always got to search for both Eccles and University of Utah. So now you get credit for both. You could even filter for second degree, like we talked about before. All these different ways to really sort of find that perfect person on the inside. And sure enough, here's Kimberly, Senior Director of HR. Ding, ding, ding. The exact team leading the search for these jobs. Okay, what's your plan here, Desiree? Think back to what we talked about with Jacob. Are you messaging her? Are you connecting with her? Or is there a better way?
There's always a better way, just like you explained with Jacob.
Yep. Especially why go in cold when you can go in warm? Get that intro from CJ, from Alina. I'm sure you have way more connections as an actual Ute that are going to plug you into Kimberly and others. Okay. Kimberly agrees to chat with you as a favor to her alma mater, as a favor to her friends. Again, what's your strategy here, Desiree? Because it's going to be a little bit different than Jacob's strategy. You are not focused only on learning. You are trying to build a deep relationship with this insider. What is your strategy coming into this chat?
Uh, my elevator pitch is key, explaining who I am and what I can do for them.
Okay, interesting. So now let's think about this a little bit from Kimberly's perspective. Do you enjoy, Desiree, if you were to put yourself in Kimberly's shoes, being sold to when someone calls you up in the middle of dinner to tell you about a great new wireless plan? Is that enjoyable?
No, so that's probably I answered incorrectly. So why don't you tell me, Jeremy? You're the pro.
No. Yeah, I was in the same boat. When I was in business school, I was all about the elevator pitch and the 30-second spiel and all that nonsense. Here's the reality in the world, in the real world. We're all just humans. We're not networking robots. What does Kimberly love talking about more than anything else, Desiree? And this is true of every human, by the way.
Oh, she loves talking about herself.
Yeah, her experience. In fact, there's an entire sort of psychological concept around this called generativity, which is the idea that the more successful you are in your career, the less time you want to spend just making an incremental dollar, the more time you want to paying or spend paying it forward to the next generation. So, what could you ask Kimberly instead of giving her a sales pitch or an elevator speech? What could you ask Kimberly to get her talking about herself, Desiree?
I can ask her what she likes about bioMérieux.
Yeah. And even more specific, how did she go from Utah there? What's her experience been like? What does she love about it? What drives her crazy? What does she wish she had known when she first started? Just give her like that microphone and let her share her story. Does that feel doable, Desiree? Going back to that idea of rejection and having our heart broken.
Yeah, if I'm not selling her, I'm not being rejected. I'm just
Yeah,
opening up the pathway for her to be able to talk.
absolutely.
I have tried this approach,
Yeah.
and most often I'm met with no response. I find that I'm met with response more often when I do a sales pitch.
Oh, I see. When you say no response, what does that mean? Like no
That
response in
means
terms of getting
I'm
a
I'm
call?
completely ghosted. There's no
Ah, I see.
no reply.
Yeah, and so this is why the warm intro is so key, right? We're not asking Kimberly to hop on the phone for no particular reason. We're asking her to hop on the phone for two very important reasons. Number one, because she's a fellow Ute. Number two, because her friend told her that she had to. And one thing that we all value in this age of AI are the few people we actually still trust in the world who are our friends. So that's why she's getting on the line. But now let's get more specific. Desiree, I've probably spoken to 1,000 students from my alma mater, 1,000 students and alumni. How many of them do you think I've given referrals to at LinkedIn, Apple, Google, all these places?
Oh, I'm going to assume you're a generous person. You seem like a generous, nice person. So
I'm a
probably,
kindergarten teacher, right?
yeah, probably 85% or more.
Guess what? The answer is 10, as in 10
10.
people out of 1,000. Now, is that because I'm secretly a jerk and I'm actually an evil kindergarten teacher in disguise? Or is there a
No,
more fundamental issue here, Desiree?
my my guess is that there's 10 people out of the 1,000 that asked for a connection.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Desiree. So here's what I want you and all of your fellow alums and current students to do at the end of these chats. Once you've built connective tissue with Kimberly, don't just say, hey, it was nice chatting with you, and then you basically walk away and never hear from her again. Instead, you always ask this final question. You say, Kimberly, this has been awesome. I know you've got to run, but if I could ask for one last piece of advice, if you were back in my shoes as a relatively new Utah grad or a Utah student, trying to break into Biomiriu for the very first time, knowing what you know today, what would you be doing to get the best shot at an interview? And there's something about that question that combines generativity, because she wants to share what she's learned. It combines that love of alma mater, because she was a student once upon a time. And it's super tangible. You're not just asking for generic advice, you're asking for her specific lived experience. In my experience, Desiree, alumni always say the following. They say, hey, look, I was referred, my whole team was referred. You got to get a referral. That's just totally clear. And then she either says, hey, we're hiring right now. Maybe you send me your resume. I even get a referral bonus out of it. Or a worst case scenario, she says, you know what? We've got a hiring freeze right now. We're not hiring, but stay in touch. If she opens that door, even a little bit, Desiree, do you stay in touch with her? Do you follow up with her all the way until you get that referral?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There's only one right answer. When the world is tough, we have to get tougher. And there's actually an entire psychological concept for that, which is when most people face a tough world, they say, hey, why is this happening to me? When the strongest people in the world face tough times, they say, I can't change the economy, but I can change what I do about it. And Desiree, I want to give you a double bonus. Number one, I want to give you that profile makeover. But number two, if I happen to know someone on the inside, and maybe I do, please let me know and I will make that introduction for you. Is that a fair
Thank you.
deal?
That's a beautiful deal.
Desiree, you were awesome. Thanks for representing the Eccles world so beautifully.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, please give it up for Desiree. And then be sure to ask your own toughest questions. Whether it's referrals, networking, LinkedIn, any of these topics, it's all fair game. Just put your questions in the chat or unmute, shout them out, or raise your hand. So let me just pause for a moment, see if there are any quick questions there. Okay, if no questions about this, I've got one last huge networking hack and one last really critical pop quiz. At the end of the day, because it's NCAA football season, because it's Super Bowl season, we've got to give out an MVP award. And who would you say is the MVP of the hiring process? In other words, the most important person to this entire drama we call hiring. Is it A, the recruiter who represents the company? B, the hiring manager, aka your future boss? Or C, the referrer, that Eccles alum who hooks you up on the inside? A, B, or C, who gets the MVP trophy this time of year? Chantel says B, Kristen says B, Sarah says C, Desiree says C. The B's and the C's are duking it out. Let's go to Chantel. Chantel, if you don't mind unmuting, why did you pick the hiring managers of the world?
Because in my experience, they're the ones that make the ultimate decision. As talking to recruiters and referrals, they can hype it up. They can make a referral for you. As I've talked to recruiters, they get really excited. I want to introduce you to the hiring manager. They go to the hiring manager and the hiring manager says yes or no.
Absolutely.
I mean, the last decision is them.
Yeah. Chantel, I love how you cut through that so beautifully. I know we're fed a lot of hype as job seekers, especially in a tough market. But at the end of the day, a recruiter is a mercenary. They are often juggling 20, 30, even 40 jobs at once, which means they're not loyal to any particular hire. They need bodies and seats. Whereas your future boss, the hiring manager, may have only one hire over the course of 5 years. And as a result, they bear all the consequences. They get that final decision, just like Chantel said so beautifully. These are the people you need to influence more than anyone else. Only question is, how do you influence them if you don't know who they are? So, for our very final opportunity here, I want to show you how to find hiring managers even before you apply. And if you want that final makeover, all you got to do is raise your hand, and I'll show you exactly how to find your future boss before you even know they're hiring. Who's going to be our final volunteer, final recipients? Okay, it looks like it's going to be Chantel. Yes, Chantel, you are already on fire. Come on back. Let's do this for the benefit of every student and alum. Welcome, Chantel.
Thank you.
Of course, Chantel, tell us a bit about yourself. Student, alum?
I am an alum. I'm in marketing and communications. I actually went through the executive MBA program at the University of Utah a few years back.
Woohoo.
So I've actually got a few decades behind me, and
That's
I've
awesome.
tried a lot of these things, and I'm finding a lot of things I've done over the years have kind of stalled out, not working. So I'm looking to kind of tweak things that I'm doing to continue to find success, because we know this is a tough job market. And one of the challenges I've had is a lot of people I need to talk to aren't necessarily on LinkedIn.
Yeah, interesting. So let's see if we can do some detective work together. And just to sort of lay down the scent of the trail, so to speak, what are you going after, Chantel? Certain kinds of roles, job titles? What's your North Star?
Usually right now it's probably director level or
Mhm.
above in marketing and communications. I have a
Beautiful.
very broad background in that, and I've done a lot of different things. So it's a higher level position that I am looking for. And I've been in Utah for a while, and part of me really wants to break out of healthcare, where I've been for quite a few years, and try to utilize my skills in another vertical industry.
That's awesome. And so, Chantel, if we were to come to LinkedIn and I was to say, hey, is there some way we could track down not just recruiters who are looking for, marketing hires, but actually the VPs of marketing or the CMOs, the people who are going to be your future boss? What could we put in this box right here that would help us track them down? Any guesses?
Job titles?
Yeah, so you could certainly say, like, hey, I'm looking for a chief marketing officer. I want to find my future boss. The only problem is when you look at Blake and Brian and Megan, you really have no idea whether they're hiring or not. So it
Right.
turns out that there are two other magic words that are even more important for now, and they are the simplest ones possible. I'm hiring. Look what's happening, Chantel. Even in a really tough job market, there are a lot of people out there, a lot of bosses who are like, you know what? I am sick of having these mercenary recruiters bring me these so-so candidates. If this candidate could change my own career forever, I got to make sure they're a rock star. And the reason we know that is they're coming out of the woodwork to announce it directly. Okay, so here's everyone who's hiring across the world, from tech companies to healthcare to aerospace. How could we narrow this, Chantal, to people who are hiring specifically for marketing roles?
I mean, would you put in marketing or, kind of the industry title in addition to who's hiring?
Exactly. Check this out. You say, I'm going to search for these posts, right? And you can say, I want a post from someone who has marketing in their title. So you click show results. And then check this out. CMO, marketer, VP of marketing, all these things. And so that's a really good way to do it. Another way you could do it is you could say, I'm hiring and I want to have someone who has director of marketing. And so I put that into the box. All these ways to find people who have these great roles. Okay, let's use this one as an example. Here's Kevin, who is the senior marketing leader at this really cool video game company. He is hiring for a senior director of marketing, and we want to make sure that we don't just say, oh, that's cool. Maybe I'll just go ahead and apply for the job. We want to use this information to really give ourselves an advantage. What can we do with this information, Chantel? Knowing what Kevin is hiring for, knowing who Kevin is, what should we be doing to really stand out in Kevin's mind? And think like
I
a
don't know if
marketer
this is
here.
the
How do we want
correct
to position
answer.
ourselves? Yeah,
I'm still going and looking for somebody that I might know that's there, that's connected to him. I'm looking for those mutual connections.
exactly. So maybe we get introduced by Anson or Nadia. That's certainly good. Now that we're introduced, what's our strategy? Do we just want to say, hey, Kevin, I saw that you're hiring. Please hire me? Is that a effective way to go?
No,
No.
no, not usually. For me, I've been focusing more on when I do reach out, I'm really trying to show how I can solve a problem for them.
Yes. This is the idea of the pain point. The same thing we all learned back in business school, right? Behind every problem is a specific pain. And so, if we want to understand the pain points that our guy Kevin is facing right now, we got to understand why he's hiring. Check this out, Chantel. When I look at this job description, my brain explodes. There's like 8,000 bullet points here.
Mhm.
So, you know what I do? I grab the entire thing, top to bottom. I come back to AI, I say, what are the three most burning pain points behind this hire? In other words, why did Kevin go to his boss and beg him for headcount even when there's not that much hiring going on? And it turns out behind every job description is a cry for help. Their brand relevance is in the toilet. Their brand strategy is fragmented. Bottom line, they are not driving the results they need to drive to ultimately keep their business in business. Chantel, if you're going to go to Kevin and let him know that you can solve these pain points, how do you do that? How do you frame it up in your message to Kevin?
I'm just going to say something I did recently, and you can tell
Yeah,
me how
go
bad I
for it.
did.
Yeah.
But usually I just say, hey, I noticed that you have a job opening. You're hiring for this position. Uh, we know someone in common. I might reference a name or something that I know and just said, saw what the job was and would love to talk to you more about what you're looking for and see how I might be able to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to use that mutual connection. I love that. And then you're going to speak the language of solutions, not the milk toast language of, hey, I'd love to chat. Hey, could we hang sometime? But the super solution oriented result of, you've got a headache, I'm your Tylenol. I'm here to put out that fire. So I was thrilled to see that you're looking for someone who can do the exact things I've nailed in the past. And then you make it super easy. For example, and so in this case, you might say, what are the three best accomplishments from my CV that align with each of these pain points? And again, you're not asking AI to write this for you because we know that AI is a terrible writer. It's going to make everything sound robotic. But you're asking AI to do a little bit of the research, a little bit of that detective work. And you're going to say, aha, I've actually done all these things before. Let me actually give that to you super clearly. So in my case, as a former marketer, Chantel, I would be like, hey, I took the worst performing part of LinkedIn's um, entire user base and made it the highest performing part. And what I'm doing is I'm solving his specific challenge by giving him examples that he can believe in. Does that make sense, Chantel?
Yes.
Okay. So my challenge to every single job seeker out there, whether you're a student, whether you're an alum, do not play the same game as everyone else. The game where you apply online, you're a stranger. Instead, play the game of an insider, the person who knows exactly who matters and exactly what matters to them. And if you can play that game well, you have a way better shot at winning that game outright. And Chantel, if I can help you win this game, please send me a message on LinkedIn. I would love to make over your LinkedIn profile, maybe even make over your outreach messages to these bosses, because I want you to rock this year.
I would love that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chantel. You were awesome. Okay, everyone, we are down to our final few minutes together, so I've got one last huge request. I'm about to shower you with a bunch of goodies, but before I do that, I want to tackle every last roadblock standing in your way. As you look down the 2026 track, if you see a giant hurdle that seems insurmountable, whether it's getting your next job, changing careers, whatever it is, put those questions in the chat right now. I'm happy to take them, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter how spicy. All you got to do is ask. So put your questions in the chat. And as you think of your questions, I want to give you a couple of bonuses. First of all, I would love to stay in touch. So if you have questions, say tomorrow or a day from now or whenever, I would be super happy to answer those questions whenever you want. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a little message. Happy to stay in touch to be supportive whenever you need. That's number one. Number two is I have to give you a massive shout out for being part of the Eccles network because it turns out that you guys have access to all these goodies. You can get my book for free by coming over here, getting access to this book for free with Kindle Unlimited or with Audible Premium free trials. Just get the book, cancel the trial. And then I have one last crazy thing to show you. Just want to make sure there are no last questions. Looks like everyone is good. And here's my last thing. And that is, back when I was in business school, back in the digital stone ages, I was an intern at Apple in the summer of 2011. And it turned out that that summer was not just important to me, but it was critical to Apple because that was the last summer that Steve Jobs worked at the company. And the thing that I'll never forget from seeing his last presentation live on stage was as sick and frail as he was at that point. He still gave this 3-hour speech. He still kept going after the speech. And he still shared this legendary last slide, one more thing. And he reaches into his pocket, holds out his iPhone, and says, for the first time in history, I'm going to talk to my computer, and my computer is going to talk back to me. And that, of course, was the day that Siri launched to the world and the beginning of this whole crazy AI journey that we're all on together. So, in honor of that moment, I want to give you my own little AI. It's not Siri, but it's called NetworkBot 2000. Here's how it works. I think too often we believe in our heart that networking is just a box to check. We're just going through the motions, not really sure why. When in fact, the best networking, as we talked about, always has a goal in mind. So if your goal is getting a referral and you say, hey, I want to make sure that I absolutely rock this conversation, don't just come in and go through the motions. Instead, keep your eyes on the prize. And this tool will really help you focus on what actually matters to get the most out of that relationship. So if you want to try NetworkBot 2000, there is the link in the chat. Feel free to use it as much or as little as you like. And then finally, I'm going to take two last questions from Anna and from Sonia. Anna says, what if my connections are minimal? I'm new to the professional job market and just moved to a new city. So Anna, here is the biggest mistake we make about networks. We think that networks are just who we know, but as you can see on LinkedIn, they're all about who we know and who those people know in turn. In other words, second degree. Let's say that you have just moved to a brand new place. In this case, maybe I'm moving to San Antonio, something like that. Say, show me everyone in San Antonio who is a first degree connection. And if I put this search in, and you can now do a lot of these natural language searches on LinkedIn, it may tell you, sure enough, you actually don't know that many people there. So if we go to people, you might say, I only have a handful of people. But if I say, show me everyone in San Antonio who is a second degree connection, all of a sudden what we'll discover is that list massively grows because the exponential math of all these mutual connections means that ultimately we can get plugged into all these people even if we don't know them directly. So my challenge to you, Anna, is don't just rely on who you already know. Instead, tap that network for who they know in that industry, in that city. You will be shocked to see what's possible. Great question. Okay, let's go to Sonia. Sonia says, after completing a master's degree, many candidates feel they don't yet have all the experience like SQL or programming. How would you recommend building confidence and positioning ourselves? So it turns out, Sonia, that especially in this age of AI, when any of these tools can do SQL, they can do code, all those things that we obsessed about back in our business programs are actually way less important. What's more important than ever are the relationships. In fact, if you look at the data, this is going to blow your minds, but it turns out that the advantage of a referral in 2025 and 2026 is no longer just 10x. If you look at the actual data, it has now become a whopping 20x because people are so focused on getting connected with people who are real, not just AI bots, not just fakers. And you can see the data right here, right on my screen. So bottom line, don't get hung up on, oh, I don't have this skill or that skill. AI can do a lot of that for you. Instead, say, do I give myself an unfair advantage? Do I get that edge that no one else is willing to get because they're not willing to put themselves out there? They're not willing to put in the time. Bottom line, if you can focus on what's really scarce in 2026, you can stand out against everyone else who's taking online SQL courses as if it was still 2010. Bottom line, focus on where the puck is headed, not just where it's been. Great question. With all that said, I want to leave you guys with one final thought from Steve himself. And Steve really appreciated this, given everything he was facing health wise. Our time on this planet is not unlimited, even if we wish it was. We don't want to use that time living someone else's life, driven by FOMO, trying to be the person we're not. Instead, just like Jacob shared at the beginning, we have to know ourselves, we have to know what's out there in the world, and we have to find that match. So, my challenge for every youth is make the most of this new year, but make the most of it in a way that is true to who you are. And with that said, I want to wish you an amazing 2026. I want to give so much love to Zach and Chandler and Jacob and Desiree and Chantel, everyone who brought the session to life, and to every single youth, past and present. Can't wait to see you go out there, absolutely rock the world this year. Happy New Year, everyone. And back to you, Zach, for those upcoming events.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. And thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time to connect with the network. I'm gonna just quickly share a couple of things. Like I said, we've got upcoming here at the Eccles School. Um, so let's see here. All right. Hopefully you're seeing my PowerPoint. Yeah, so a whole lot of things coming at you this spring for you to stay part of this network, whether you're here or out of state or out of town. Some of you are signed up for our winter mixer, which is tomorrow down in South Jordan at the break. We're going to get together and watch a Utah men's basketball away game, and also the Utah Jazz are playing. So it'll be a nice low effort way to do some of that networking if you live on the south end of the valley or maybe Utah County. We've also got our next alumni forum on February 12th. This is a great hybrid opportunity. So you can come up to campus and have lunch and connect with people and learn about AI in practice, which we're really excited about and kind of ties into some of the tools we talked about today. If you're interested in that, there's a link there. I'll send all these up out in a follow-up email. We've got a sales innovation summit at the end of February. This is another great annual event we do if you're interested in careers or networking in the sales realm. So we invite you to check that out. And then I don't have an RSVP link yet, but save the date for March 10th. That's our 4th annual Eccles Alumni Trivia Night. So a really fun thing we do every year. And yeah, that's an alumni-owned company, Bewildered Brewing Company. As far as Career Lab goes, you can find this episode and all of our Career Lab episodes on our YouTube channel at David Eccles Business. So make sure, and you can go back to last year and catch Jeremy's session that he did with us last year if you weren't part of it. And then our next, we also have a save the date. Our next Career Lab will be April 2nd. Our topic is TBD. So if you would like to give us some feedback, I've got a link here, and also you could go to this QR code and let us know what topics you're interested in, or you could just shoot me an email. But yeah, we'd love to continue providing relevant professional development to everyone in the network. And so if you're interested in learning more about any topics, feel free to let us know. And yeah, I'd like to encourage you all to connect with Jeremy on LinkedIn, connect with myself or Michelle or Chandler, Marcella, other people on staff. When Jeremy's talking about those people who can make connections for you, I think we have a lot of great people that are working at the school that are happy to help you plug in more to the network. So once again, thank you all so much for being here. I'll stop my share and just want to say thanks again to Jeremy and to everyone else. Happy New Year as well.